Hey folks, Thrifty Gamer 83 here, just bringing you a quick little rant. For me, seeing how Final Fantasy VII is being remade, while it was one of the greatest games of all time, it really doesn't deserve a remake. Not because it's not one of the greatest role-playing games of all time, which it is, but to me, the original Final Fantasy VII does not need to be reworked, retouched, reconstructed, or deconstructed. It has all of the elements right there. It is still selling well enough on PlayStation Network as a classic title. It does not need to be fixed. It does not need to have HD graphics. The super deformed characters were perfection in their time. The commercials in the advertising were amazing. With that said, though, what really strikes me is that people will just demand that there be an HD remake. And if they are disappointed in it, then they'll say, well, Square mismanaged it. For me, that is where the mismanagement comes in. Not, in essence, caving to fans, but caving into the demand to make it just a cash grab. If the game is terrible, if it does not live up to the expectations mounted upon it, millions of gamers will be upset by this tactic. We are basically spoiled nowadays with downloadable content. We want all things to be reworked or re-envisioned. And that's something that I simply can't support. For me, Final Fantasy VII will always be that game which actually made me cross over from cartridges to CDs for the PlayStation. And call it being stuck in that time zone, but really that's where Final Fantasy VII is to me. It's stuck in that time. It has its own time. It has its own place. It had its own characters. Final Fantasy VII, if it's remade, will be lacking that. It will just be a corporate sense of cashing in and bringing downloadable content. Perhaps even more content than was originally in the game, which it should not need. Final Fantasy VII still stands head and shoulders above even this generation of role-playing games. However, people will just see it as how they feel. They want a remake. They want a remake. They want a remake. And you can go over and over again, but what you won't really have is the sense of character. You won't really have that when you ask for the upgrade. What you will get is what you wanted. And if it's paid unlockable DLC, you'll pay for it without question. I know I'd pay for it, but really, I can't imagine just purchasing a remake with all of the memories which are tied into that. Because it was that perfect time. It was the perfect time when people who didn't really play role-playing games like my older brother finally got into it. They finally got into a role-playing game. And as I said before, for me, seeing it on my older brother's PlayStation, that switched me from cartridges over to CD-ROMs. And that's where it is for me. That's where a majority of my gaming was made, playing games with my older brother. Final Fantasy VII, when they remake it, to me, it feels terrible in saying this, but it's going to bomb. It's not going to really capture what Squaresoft had originally done. And I'm sorry if this upsets some folks. I'm sorry, I really do apologize, but I don't, because it's really just how it is. Final Fantasy VII got a majority of people to switch over from cartridges to CD-ROMs. There's no greater feelings toward that. There's nothing else that can be said or done. And people will say, well, you don't really know what you're talking about. Yes, I do. Final Fantasy VII will always have that treasured and revered place in my memory, but really a remake is not needed. If anything, it would be to give Square more time to work on an IP or to work on creating a Final Fantasy game which would just be blowing it out of the water with a compelling storyline instead of going back and remaking and remastering and then tweaking this and then creating that. So really, when you talk about an old product, don't remake it. If anything, create a newer product. Create something which will make this generation of console users say, I want to get a PlayStation 4 or I want to get an Xbox One. See? See how that works? Final Fantasy VII will be bought up by the masses of gamers who remember it. But will it be bought up by gamers just turning 21? Probably not. If they saw the original PlayStation 1 Final Fantasy VII and think of it being remade, they're not really going to be that impressed. Alright folks, rant, rave, love, hate, have a good one.